And in preparation, I watched Strange Invaders.
Oh,
And I
yeah?
had never seen it until then, but I'm such a fan of Strange Behavior that when I saw the beginning of Strange Invaders, I totally freaked out because there you and Dan were in that
I
cameo,
know,
right?
wasn't it?
Awesome. So
Yes, I loved it. And it was so cute because, I mean, I just love that. And then we all, because I just remember so specifically taking out my gum and putting it on the dashboard.
Right.
And then doing this kissing scene.
That same deal as Dan, where it was like you got a certain amount, and then they gave you a ton of per diem per day to be there, and you were there for like 2 weeks or something like that, wasn't it?
Yes, they gave us more per diem, but I was not at the. I mean, this is my second movie, and on Rock and Roll High School, I had just worked for Scale, so I don't even remember what I made. But I don't remember being there 2 weeks.
Oh, really? Maybe Dan was just there 2 weeks. But
we both disappeared at the same time, I think. Weren't we both taken up in the bubbles at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I maybe I was there longer, but I don't remember that, but it was just such a great experience. I loved it. It was fun to go up to Toronto, and we worked all night, and it just was. I loved watching that movie. It was a fun movie, and a lot of people don't know that movie either. It's just amazing.
I don't know if I think that's a great movie, but I really loved the beginning with you guys.
Yeah, it was. It was so visual. Didn't you think it was fun and visual?
Yeah, and there's something strange about you guys in that movie too. It's like it reminds you of that timeless sort of late 50s, early 60s kind of feel. Do you know what I'm saying?
Definitely, that whole thing. Yeah, in the car that we're driving, and we're just so
It's really great.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Another performance of yours that I really love, and again, it's one I don't think anyone remembers, a scene because it's not available, and that's when you did with Jeff Altman in Doing Time. Do you remember that? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeff Altman, but you can still get it, can't you? Isn't it? I have a DVD cover of it.
I don't know. I have it on VHS.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you've got to get on to these DVDs, and now the next thing is the Blu-rays, right?
I know, but I'm a purist, right? So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, I had a lot of fun doing that. That was great. That was for the Ladd Company. And it was Doing Time and with Jeff Altman, and I played like didn't I play the doctor?
A sexualized therapist, but you're also the straight.
Right.
You're also the straight one too, right? So no one,
Yeah.
all the punchlines are thrown at you.
I know. That's one of those things where I've gotten that a lot, and I'm really a quirky, funny personality, and it's like for some reason everyone always casts me as like the straight person, and it's really aggravating. And then so that was a lot of
great jokes in there though, right? Where Altman gives you the ashtray and it says VD on the bottom.
Which says what? I don't even remember.
It says V as in victory and D as in dog.
Oh,
and your character says VD, and it says Vicky and Duke. it's so funny. So funny.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Jeff Altman was pretty funny. Is he still around? I don't even know.
I don't know. It's no Pink Lady and Jeff, right? But it's a hilarious film.
Yeah.
So many wonderful.
And Colleen Camp was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really. That was that God. No one ever brings up that movie.
It's funny. It's so funny. Especially John Vernon in that film is hilarious too. There's so many. They don't make such sexually charged comedy anymore. I don't think. They just don't do it.
No, especially back then. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's so funny. And what about back in the USSR?
Oh yeah, Darren Sarafian directed that.
Yeah, Roman Polanski.
Yes, that is a great I have a great story with that one. Uh, let's see. I went over to Russia and was there probably about 8 weeks, and it was in the early '90s, and it was a movie made by Largo, which was a part of Fox at the time, and it was the time when Gorbachev was in office over there, you know, he was the president over there, and you just felt revolution in the air. It was right before the big where they threw him out of office.
Right.
And you could just literally feel it. So it was a really interesting time to be there. It was very poor. If you wanted to get a taxi cab, you'd raise like you'd put up a pack of cigarettes, and that's how you would get a taxi cab. And you saw the people lining up in bread lines. But then foreigners, you know, you could go straight in, you know, and pay. But the people, the Russian people, or had to stand in line. It was really a very interesting time to be there.
Wow.
But anyway, I went over there, and I was in this movie, and Roman Polanski and I play the villains. I work for him. And what ends up happening is that they feel that later on that they want to establish Roman and I being more of love interests.
Right.
And so they want to have a kissing scene in it. So what they do is, and this is like months later after I've come back from Russia. So they can't get Roman, of course, into the United States, so they have to fly me over to Paris for us to do this scene in a car. And so I got to fly over to Paris and to do this scene. Well, it was a huge scene of exposition, and we didn't get the scene until, like, I got into Paris probably at like 10 at night or maybe 7 at night or something like that, and I did not get the scene until probably 11 at night. And then we had to work, we had to work in the middle of the night, like at 5 in the morning or something, as the sun is coming up or something. And so I get there, and I'm like going, oh, my God, how am I going to learn all these lines? And Roman has a lot of lines, too. And so we get into the car, and I said, well, we're just going to have to wing it. And Roman starts tearing up the script and putting it all around the car, pasting it all around the car.
Uh-huh.
And I'm saying, going, whoa, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm not going to learn those lines. And so he literally, here's this great director, is like, pasting all of his dialogue around the car. And I said, God, that's a fantastic idea. But I said, my dialogue's going to get mixed up with yours, so I did the best I could to learn it. But he had his pasted all around the car. And then we have this big, like, kissing scene, and then I'm not sure if the car blows up. I forgot what happened. Did you see the movie?
Yeah, I saw it. I'm trying to. I think it does blow up.
Recently, or because I haven't seen it.
Oh no, I haven't seen it in like 3 or 4 years. It's one that's
these
not on
movies you're
DVD.
bringing up. It's been like 20 years since I've seen them, but I just can remember the experience because it was so cool that I got to go over there because we couldn't get him into the United States.
Yeah,
so,
right.
And I really, really liked him. He was a really nice guy. He was and a fine actor. Yeah. You can't. So that was my experience with him.
And then what about Running Man?
Running Man was like short and sweet. I mean, I had just that one scene, but I really enjoyed it. I was hired by a different director who ended up shooting it. But it was really a fun little, and I loved my little scene where I got to say that crazy dialogue.
Weird rape comments.
Bring it on.
That's right.
Oh my God. So, it was really it was just a fun experience, and really seeing Arnold and stuff for the first time, and like he had such a huge presence, and but I was really only on that for I think one day.
Oh,
So
really? So you didn't get to meet
yeah,
Richard
you know
Dawson?
they're doing a remake of it, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember. I've talked to Arnold had this like sort of partner stuntman named Peter Kent that tagged along with him all the time. Do you remember Peter? He worked on The Running Man the whole time. He was like the guy that got dragged behind the motorcycle.
Oh
Sort of
gosh, okay,
followed Arnold around through all his films. But he
yeah.
told me some crazy stories of Richard Dawson. Did you get to meet and hang out with Richard Dawson at all, or?
No, I really didn't. Not on, because I mean, my stuff was just in that little corridor,
Right.
in front of the candy machine, where, and again, I'm smoking, as you
Yes.
said, and
You have huge earrings on too. Like on the
yes,
higher
right.
ear could hold those up.
I know. They had me dressed. I loved the way they had me dressed. It was just but it was so perfect in terms of the whole style of the movie.
Sure.
It was just very retro. The whole feeling of it, and I'll be very curious what they do with the the next one.
Well, hopefully the weird rape dialogue is in there. The remake. Are you there?
That character. I mean, it was just but it was fun. It was really. I love those opportunities to go in and just have those cameo roles that you can really make a mark with.
Right.
It's fun.
Yeah, and speaking of cameos, like I remember you had that cameo. Well, I think it was a little bit bigger, but do you remember when you did the Rat Pack when you were Dean Martin's?
Yes.
Did you
absolutely.
did you do any research on her when you went into that, or?
Yeah, I did do a little research. I actually had met her before. I had dated
really?
her son, Ricky Martin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I knew her other son, Dean. I mean, it was Dino. I had known them when I was a little bit younger, so it was very interesting. And but yeah, that was a cameo. I had a couple scenes in that, but that was a fun role also. Yeah, to play someone, and yeah, I did do a little research, but as I said, I had met her, so I got a little essence of her. She was a really.
So, but I mean, when you approach something like that, I mean, is it hard to, so you got the essence down, right? But I mean, basically, if you'd met her and you'd known of her, what do you think you added to that sort of relationship that you found in your research that you didn't know for meeting her? Do you know what I'm saying? I mean,
well, I was not aware of what their relationship was per se.
Okay.
I wasn't. Yeah, that he was just such a workaholic and just really just wasn't really present in the home at all. So what did I bring differently to it? My gosh, I just it was a lot in the dialogue, and the way I was directed too. So I learned a lot about her. I mean, his family, his big family was the Rat Pack.
Yeah.
And other than that, I think he drank a lot and wasn't really that much of a. I'd hate to be quoted because I don't really know.
It's okay.
Whether he was a father, a good father, or anything like that. But I don't think he was
he wasn't a scoundrel, right? Like everyone
everyone
loved him. Really, he was.
Yeah, I just don't know how much at home he was. It was just like he just really. And I didn't have the idea that he was a womanizer in any way. I just think that he just wasn't. Very present,
Sure.
at the home, from what I could gather, and that's mainly what I took from the scenes I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't know in terms of I didn't really get an insight into that having met Jeannie.
Yeah. What do you remember about doing the X-Files?
Well, let's see. That was a great. That also. Gosh, just going up to Vancouver was so gorgeous, and working with those guys. That was a really. That was a lot of crying in that one scene. I remember at the police office.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was really an emotional scene.
It's the best season of the show too, right? That's the season where everyone was like blown away by that show.
Really?
That first season, yeah. I just remember.
Oh yeah, what was that? The first season?
Yeah,
or
it was
that
like episode 21. It was like near the end of the first season.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I thought maybe I
Yeah.
was in the second season or yeah, really.